Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it, shall we? Just my initial reactions, I'm just going to shoot from the hip. What a shambles. I mean, what a absolute shambles and a disappointment. I was looking so very much to Conorbenn, Eubank Jr. It was a fight that transcended to the general public. I mean, you had people from all over the streets, cultures, backgrounds talking about this fight because it's a crossover fight. It was a huge, monumental moment for the dazn as well to really get mainstream. Because let's be honest, they've had a difficult 2 years breaking even with the amount of money they put into their boxing. It was a big moment for Eddie Hearn. It was a big moment for everyone, and I was going. I bought my ticket, £150 O2, looking forward to it. Now I've got a hassle like thousands have of getting their money back. And let's be honest, it's not Eubank Jr.'s fault, is it? I mean, he's been having mind games throughout, but that's just to build the fight up. He's done his job. His promoter, Cal Sutherland, was saying he's on weight. He'd have made the weight comfortably. He's trained hard. I know Eubank Sr. wasn't too happy with the fight going on, but, all around him, everyone was saying that Eubank Jr. is on point and he'd made the weight. So it's up to Conorbenn to do his side of the bargaining, wasn't it? And he looked jacked, he looked strong, but he's failed a drugs test, a performance-enhancing drugs test. And ultimately, let's make no mistake about it, it's a female pregnancy drug, isn't it, to help with, female fertilisation. And so ultimately what that is basically is a masking drug. It's there to hide something else, more severe, and that's steroids. And they've taken that masking agent drug, at the end of that 6-week steroid cycle, and they've been caught out. That's the bottom line of it. I don't care what anyone else says about it. You don't find this kind of crap in your system. If that's to test me anytime, they would not find this in my system, and that goes for anyone really. So ultimately it's devastating because Conorbenn I've had a lot of respect for. His rise for the last 2 years has been astronomical. It's been unbelievable, and the way he knocked Algeria out, Algeria was past it, but he's still a good fighter. It was clinical. It was so impressive. His hand speed, his boxing skills, his timing. But now that is all in question, isn't it? You have to wonder, was that legit? Was that worthy of his skill set? Is that his real skill set? All these questions now, or was that just because of the drugs? You have to constantly ask yourself these questions, don't you? And you wonder what on earth is going on. But obviously there's going to be a big inquest now. It will come out in the next couple of weeks for sure. But it's one of these things where you're like, I can't believe this has happened. But it has happened, and it's the right thing to do. I mean, Eddie Hearn and the Sowland brothers really need to look at themselves as trying to, still get this fight on, for 24 hours until eventually I think they looked at the public backlash. They looked at so many other factors and realised, hang on, we can't do this. If we bring this fight on Saturday night, amongst public backlash and, God forbid, Eubank Jr. gets hurt or knocked out in his fight, can you imagine what they've done to boxing? Can you imagine what they've done to their reputation, Conorbenn's reputation? And even if he had won, even if Conorbenn had put up a heroic fight, they're always going to say, well, he was drugs cheat. So it's the right thing to do to cancel this fight. You need an inquest. You need to get it all out in the open. Hopefully Benn clears his name. Hopefully he says some chance there's a mix-up. That's what Canelo did and got away with it. But until that happens, until he clears his name, this fight cannot go on. It was the right thing to call it off. But ultimately, I'm devastated, like most fans are. I was really sitting on the fence as well, whether or not, who was going to win this. Was Eubank taking it seriously? Benn seemed to want it more. I had a sneaky feeling that Eubank Jr. would have stopped Benn late on. I think it would have been rocky roads for the first couple of rounds. Then I think Eubank's chin and stamina would have taken over, and I think Benn would have gassed out. And he would have been stopped, the smaller man. And I think, and a flurry of punches. Around 10, around 9, 10 or 11, I think Benn would have been stopped on the ropes after a gutsy performance. That was my call, but it would have been a fantastic fight, and I'm absolutely devastated. But, you know, if Benn's found guilty of this, he needs a 2-year ban. That's the bottom line of it. You know, throw the book at him. You can't have any